Hi, I'm Tom, and in this tutorial for FreeCAD BIM, I will show you how to create a small building such as this garage, where it has roof, it has walls, some windows and doors, and also when we look into the interior, there are some interior walls and also I will show you how to place some equipment. So this is what the result of this tutorial will be. And at the end, I will also show you how to assign correct IFC classes to each of the objects. This tutorial is meant for FreeCAD BIM beginners, but I expect you to have some basic knowledge of drafting in FreeCAD and working with grids and the basic setup, workbench, switching, etc. So if you find this tutorial hard to follow, I recommend you to first follow my tutorial on 2D drafting for beginners. The link to that tutorial will be in the description box below. I'm using FreeCAD 1.0 in this tutorial. To create this garage building, I will be using this blueprint. If you want to follow along, you can download this blueprint also with the finished result from my Ko-Fi page, which is also linked in the description box below. Okay, this is it for the introduction. Now let's close this finished file and start a new one by selecting New BIM Architecture Project. And if you open file like this for the first time, you will be greeted with the BIM setup dialog where you can select your desired presets. I will not go through these options, but just for your information, I'm using the standard, so I will mainly be using millimeters, standard units. Be careful about my snap settings and also about the position of the current working place. Most of the time I will be working with the top work plane. So first things first, I will first create from the plan view, I will create these exterior walls all around, and the sizes are 8,400 millimeters by 6,200 millimeters. So that's the outside size. So back in FreeCAD, I will look from the top, and for this first setup, I will turn on grid. You might have it turned on already, and I will use the rectangle tool to draw the rectangle, and now I will also turn on snapping to the grid so I can snap to the beginning of the point 00. So I will click here. Now I will turn off snapping to grid, and the next point I will type in with keyboard. So I will type in local X 8,400, hit enter, local Y 6,200, hit enter, and then hit enter again. And now the rectangle is created. If I click away, you will see the face of the rectangle. If I zoom out, you can see that this is my rectangle. I will now turn off the grid because I don't like to have it there all the time. So we will create the wall object based on this rectangle object, but first we have to get rid of the face because we cannot create walls that we want with the face. So I will select the rectangle, go to the data properties, and I will choose make face. I will switch it from true to false. And if I click here away, you can see that the face is not there. Now to create a wall based on this wire, the rectangle, I will select the rectangle and then fire up the wall tool. So now if I create the wall, you can see that it's automatically created. The wall object is there. If I extend it, you can see that it's created based on the rectangle, and the rectangle is hidden when the wall is created. So this looks nice, but now let's take a look. Let's try to measure length of this edge. So I will select the edge and then use the measure tool, and you can see that it's 8,800 millimeters. This is because the wall is created, and I will actually make it I will actually make the wall transparent, like 90%, and I will also select the rectangle, make it visible, and also let's change the line width to 5 and line color to red so you can see it well. So you can see that the wall was created with the rectangle on the inner side of the wall. So, and what I have created the rectangle originally as the outer size of the wall. So how can we fix this? I will select the wall, and we've got this option of, in the data properties, not the view properties, but the data properties, there's the option of alignment, and it's under the wall section, align, and it's aligned by default to the left. If I drop down this menu, I can align it to the center. If I click here, you can see that now the line is at the center of the wall, and then this edge would be 8,600 millimeters. But what I want to do is have it as right, and now it's the outer part of the wall is aligned with the underlying geometry, the sketch. So now if I measure this line, it's 8,400 millimeters, which is correct. So this is important concept when working with walls, is that the relationship between the base object and the wall. So now I will go to the wall and change the appearance, and I will change the transparency back to 0 because now the wall is properly aligned. So now what we want to check is the width and the height of the wall. So I will take a look at the properties of the wall, and down in the data properties in the wall section there's height and width, and you can see here that the width should be 400 instead of 200. So I will change the width to 400, hit enter. So now the width is correct, and the height, we will work with that later, but for now I will set the height to 2,800 millimeters. That's the place where the bottom of the roof will be. So I will set the height to 2,800 millimeters, hit enter. That's the correct sizing of our wall object. We can rename the object, so I will select it, hit F2, and name it wall exterior. And now it's also a good time to start organizing our project. And FreeCAD basically is able to mimic the basic structure of IFC schema. So in this schema, first we will create the site. So it's this tool, create arch site. So I will create a site, and this creates a site with options. Now inside of the site, I will create a building. So I will create a building container, and then I will also create the level container. This will be level, and I can rename it. So building, I will again hit F2, name it building garage, and level will be 0, 1. And I want to have the building inside of the site, so I'll drag and drop the building onto the site like this. And then I want to have the level inside of the building, so I'll drag and drop the level on the building, and now it's inside of the building. And now the wall, I can drag and drop it drop it onto the level 1. So I will drag and drop it like this. So now we've got the correct structure which follows IFC schema and is good practice to have it like this. What is also a good practice is saving the file. So I will save the file and name it garage tutorial. So now my project is saved. Okay, so the basic wall is created, and now let's create the floor slab. So to create the floor slab, we will again first create a base object from which we will create the slab. And the base object will again be very simple rectangle. So I will fire up my rectangle tool, and now actually check my snap settings, because I have this snap to working plane turned on. So I will be snapping to the bottom of the where the working plane is. Basically it's at the height 0, at the height 0. So now I can draw, if I hover my mouse here, it's actually over this edge, it's snapping to the bottom. So I can draw my rectangle. The first point will be at this corner, the second point will be at this corner, and the rectangle was placed at the bottom, at the my working plane, the top working plane. So now the rectangle is created. I can create slab from it by using this, having the rectangle selected and using the slab command, and it has created a slab which again has the rectangle as its base object, and the base object has been created, was made invisible. I can make it visible again by selecting the eye tool, but it's good to have it invisible, of course, because only the slab interests me. And I will rename it slab floor, so I know what this object is. And again, in the properties of the slab, there are lots of properties, but what I will change is just the height. So I can change it from 200 millimeters to 250 millimeters to change the thickness of the slab floor. And I will drag and drop it onto my level 1, so it's correctly placed. Okay, so let's follow up with creating the interior walls, which is this one and this one, and both of them are 150 millimeters thick, and this one is placed 1550 millimeters from this edge of the wall. So how will we create it? I will do that by using the line tool as a base object, and I will create the line tool basically here and then move it 1550 millimeters in this direction. So I will fire up the line tool, and now if I want to snap to this point, the snap point is not showing. This is because I was a FreeCAD 1.0. If the snap point is overlapping with the floor, it doesn't show up. So actually I will close the line tool and hide the floor. And now if I fire up again the line tool, I will have it snapping to the endpoint. So I will click here, rotate my view, and click here. I have created the line, and I will use the feature of FreeCAD that when I create an object, it is selected. So now I will fire up the move tool and click somewhere in the space, move my mouse in this direction, hit shift to lock the direction, and type in 1500 to move the object in that direction 1550 millimeters. If you want to know more about how to move draft objects like this, again, I recommend you to watch my tutorial on 2D drafting for beginners. So now the line is located properly, and I've got still the line selected, and I can create wall out of it. So I will select the arch wall, and a new wall is created. I will rename it 01, and I will change the thickness of the wall to 150, and I will leave the height as it currently is. Now we have to be careful about the alignment of the wall. So what I will do is select this edge, and then select with Control, select this edge, and fire up the measure tool. And what it's measuring is the distance between those two edges, and it's 1550, so the alignment is right. You can see that if I select this wall and I would change the alignment from left to right and click here, the wall would be much closer. So actually the alignment that we had, the left one, was correct. So now let's go and create this second wall, which is 1000 millimeters from this edge. So I will use the same technique. I will rotate the view, fire up the line tool, snap to this point as a first point, snap to this point as a second point. The line is selected. I will move it with the move tool. I will click here, move my mouse here, hold shift key for a while. It locks the direction, and then I will type in 1000 and hit enter. And now again, the line is still selected, so I will create the wall. And again, I've got to be careful about the alignment. So if I just check in like this, again, the left is all right. The left and right depends on the direction of how I created the underlying line. So this one is correct, and the height is okay too. And the last wall that we will create is this wall, which should be actually just 1200 millimeters high, because it's the wall that the toilet is placed on. So again, the same technique, fire up the line tool, lock to this point as a first one, this point as a second one, create wall out of it. Its thickness should be, oh, I see the problem. The thickness, the width should be 152, and I've got wrong width with this wall, so I will change it to 152, and this one should be just 1200 millimeters high, and I will name them. This one will be interior 2, and this one will be wall WC. So I've got my interior walls. Hopefully they are placed well, and I will select them all and drag and drop them onto the level 1 so they are placed correctly. So we have the walls and we have the slab. I will still leave it hidden because now we will place doors and windows. So let's take a look at what should be done. First, we will place these two windows. So this one should be 1500 millimeters from the corner, and it's 1200 millimeters wide, and it's the bottom of the window, it's 900 millimeters from the floor, and it's 1200 millimeters high. So let's first click away so we've got nothing selected, and then we will fire up the window tool. And once it's started, you can see for this tool there are some presets which can be set before the window is placed. So first off, we will check that the auto include in host object is checked, so that when we place it on the wall, it will automatically create opening. And then sill height we will change to 900. The preset we've got some presets of windows, so it can be 1 pane, 2 pane. The presets are mixed doors and windows, but we will use the basic one, the fixed door. And here are some window parameters where you can also see on these dimensions what these numbers mean. So I will change the width to 1200 and the height to again 1200. It's the same. And I will leave the frame width and offsets as they are. And now to place the window, you can see that when I'm moving my mouse and I move it over some face, the window automatically aligns to that face. So I want to make sure that I hover my mouse over the right face, and then I will actually not place the window at the exact position, but I will place it first at the corner, so I will place it here. So we've got window placed in the exterior wall, and if I expand wall exterior, you can see that the window is placed there, but it's at the bad location. And now I want to move the window 1500 millimeters to the right. So I will select the window, fire up the move tool, click somewhere here, and previously I was showing you that I was holding shift and showing the direction with the mouse. I can actually also, if I want to move it in this direction, I can hit the X key, and this locks the movement only to the X axis, and I will type in 1500 and hit enter, and now the window is placed at the right location, so you can see it here. Now what we can do, if I select the window, I can still change some of the parameters like height and width, and what I will change is the offset to 100, so the window is offset a bit deeper into the wall, so it's not aligned with the outside of the wall. Okay, so the first window is placed. Now the second window is 1500 meters from this corner, so I will actually create a copy of this window and move it 2700 millimeters to the right. So I will select the window. I can either select it here or in the project tree, and I will use the BIM copy tool, and I will first select the point where I'm actually grabbing it, so it can be somewhere here, and again I will hold shift for a little bit. That locks the direction to local X, and the movement will be 2700 millimeters, and that created the copy of this window here. And I can measure, I can actually check. I will select this edge, fire up the edge tool, it's 1500 millimeters. I will reset and select this edge and this edge, and it's also 1500 millimeters from this edge. So they are placed correctly. So let's place this window, which is in the middle of the wall, but we will actually use this again, this dimension 2500. So I will deselect everything, fire up the window tool. The presets are saved to the last one, and I will again place the window here in this corner. And I was showing you previously that I can move window with the move tool, but I can also place the window relative to the first point that I placed it at by selecting the window, and here in the data properties of the window there's the base properties and placement. I will extend the placement, I will extend the position, and if I move it in the y-axis 1000 millimeters and I hit enter, it's moving also parametrically this way. So I wanted 2500 millimeters and I can move the window also this way. So I can either use the move tool or use the position, and the position is relative to the first point that I placed it on. Okay, and I think we've got only this window left, so it's 1500 millimeters from this corner. But now you will see I will deselect everything, fire up the window tool, and when I'm placing the window, it's placed completely outside of the wall because I'm always placing it by the right corner. So now again, if I would want to use the placement of the window, I not only have to move it in the X direction 1500, but also add the width of the window. So it will be 2700 millimeters. And I forgot to offset that one and this one too, so I again will change the offset value also for this one to 100. So these are the windows, and now let's place the garage doors, which are 2400 millimeters wide, and that includes the frame, and they are 2200 millimeters high. So now I will rotate my view like this, and I will fire up the door tool, which basically the door tool is the same as the window tool. It just saves its own presets. So for the width it was 2400 millimeters, height 2200 millimeters, and all these other frame widths and depth I will leave as they are. And I will place the door, and I will place it in the middle of I will snap by the midpoint. So I'm snapping by the midpoint, and it's placing the door like this. And now the door is actually not placed, this corner is not placed at the midpoint, but 150 millimeters in this direction. So again, I can select the door, Y direction, so I will change the position in Y direction to minus 150, hit enter, and this is the door placed at the correct location. And the second one, I will create a copy, which will be 2700 millimeters, this point to this point. So I've got the door still selected. I will fire up the BIM copy tool, click here, hold shift, move my mouse here, and type in 2700, hit enter, and this is the second section garage door created. I will name this door so I know it, section 01, and I will name this section door 02, so I know that these are the large doors. This is a bit of cheating. The current FreeCAD 1.0 doesn't have an option to have the garage door, so I'm actually using the simple door for this. This is kind of cheating. I could create my own, but for this basic tutorial we will create these doors like this. So now let's create these exterior doors, and when I'm creating leaf doors, I'm placing them so that the leaf door opening will be at the side that I'm snapping the face to. So I will snap from this side, and what I will also do is the size of the door is width is 900 millimeters, and that includes the frame size. So the opening is only 800 millimeters wide. That's important to know with these default FreeCAD doors. So I will rotate my view, make sure I have nothing selected, fire up the door tool, and I will use the simple door, and I have to change the width to 900, height I will change to 2050 because that makes 2000 for the height of the door, and then the frame height, the H1 is 50. So this is the H1 is this dimension. And now I'm placing the door, and I will place it here at this corner again, and I want to move the door 3150 millimeters from that corner. So I will select the door, and that's in the X direction, so I will type in minus 3150, hit enter, and the door is placed here. But if I look from the top view, and I will actually change the draw mode from flat lines to wireframe, you can see that the door is placed on the outside of the wall, and here it is placed here on the inside. And also, yep, so I can either select the door and I could move it in that direction, or I can choose the offset option and offset it to 250. I will offset it 300. Okay, so it's placed correctly like this, and I will switch back the view draw mode to as is. So now the door is like this, and just to make sure again, I will select this edge and select this edge and measure the distance. It's correct. Now if I select the door, I can show the door opening in elevation and in plan. So if I show the door opening in plan, and what I will also do is I will open the door also in the 3D. That's the opening parameter. So I will open it by 90 degrees or 45 degrees. You can see that the door is opening to the wrong side. How do I switch the door opening direction or the hinge position? I do that by selecting the door, and here in the project tree view, I will right click the door, and I've got these two options, invert opening direction and invert hinge position. So I will invert opening direction, and now it's opening to the outside, which is correct way of opening this door. So I will close the door in the 3D, and I will leave the symbol plan turned on, because later when we will be creating floor plans, this will be visible. So now let's create this inner door, and this one has got the width of the door 800 millimeters. So again, with the frame it will be 900 millimeters, and it's opening in that direction. So here in the 3D view, I will rotate the view, and what I will do is fire up the door tool, and the width and the height I will leave the same, but I want to have the frame of the door as thick as the wall is, which is this this parameter is the W1. So I will change it to 150, which is the thickness of the wall, and this offset is set to 0, which is correct. But now I want to snap to this point here, so I will click here, and again from that point the door should be moved 1000. Actually it's 950 because it's less the frame width plus the width of the wall, which is 900, so it's 1800 and 850. So I will select the door, make sure it's selected, and change the Y position 1850, and it has to be with minus, hit enter. And just to make sure, I will measure the distance from, now again I'm not able to select this edge, so I will hide this wall and select this edge with control, select this edge, measure the distance, and it's 1000 millimeters, which is correct, and I can make this wall again visible. So this is the door placement, and now let's again show the symbol plan of the door, and it's opening in the wrong direction because I want to actually have it opening inside of this room. So I have it selected, I will right click and invert opening direction, and now also the hinge position is wrong, so I will invert hinge position like this. So this door is actually created well, and you can see that the frame thickness is the same as the wall thickness, which is what we want from these interior walls doors. Now we will be placing this last door. So here you can see that the size of the opening of this door is only 700 millimeters, and it's 100 millimeters from this corner. That's again without the frame. So with frame it will be only 50 from that corner. So back in FreeCAD, I will make sure that I've got nothing selected, fire up the door tool, and I will change the width. So with frame it's 800, so the opening will be only 700 millimeters. And what I also wanted to do is place it on this wall like this, and then move it. Again, I will use the placement, position, and it's positive x-axis. So it's 50 plus the width of the wall, so it's 850 millimeters. And again, I'm not able to select this edge, so I will hide this wall, select this edge, select the inner edge of the wall, and measure the distance that it's 100, which is what is correct. Okay. Oh, and I almost forgot again, let's check the opening direction, which is not correct again. So we have to select the door, and it's actually in this wall. So I will right click, invert the opening direction, and also invert the hinge position, so it's opening in the correct direction. So it's moving on nicely, and now let's place the toilet object. I've got this 3D object created in a separate FreeCAD file, so I will open the file. You've got it available at the download that I got on my Ko-Fi page, and it's the toilet file. I will open it, and it's actually a very simple file with just this object, the toilet. So I will select it, and I will hit Ctrl C to copy the object. It's asking me which of these I want to select. I've got it all selected, so I will hit OK. And back in my garage tutorial, I will actually move my view like this, and now I will hit Ctrl V, or you can go to edit and copy and paste. So I will choose paste, and the toilet is placed here. So now I just got to place it in the correct placement. So I can actually close this file, and I've got this equipment, and I will just name it toilet. And I will go to the top view, and first I will move it a bit here Then with the toilet still selected, I will choose the rotate tool. With the rotate, you first select the point that you will rotate around, so I will select this one. Then I select base angle, so I will select this angle with the shift, and again with the shift, which locks me to the actually this way to the 90 degrees. I will click like this, so that's toilet, and then I will again use the move tool. It's important now that I'm snapping to have snapping to working plane, and I will use the midpoints because I will snap to midpoint at the toilet object and midpoint at this edge. And because I'm all the time snapping to the working plane, the height, the Z position of the toilet is stayed the same as the original one, so it's placed like this, so it's placed nicely. So this is the equipment, how you can bring equipment into and other objects into your BIM project. Now what I also have to do is place the toilet on the level 1. So I will drag it to the level 1. Now it's placed in level 1. If I hide level 1 and show it, I can see that everything is in level 1. So everything is moving on nicely. If you want to know more about working with windows and doors and how to place them, I have a separate tutorial with much more detail about how to work with doors and windows, so you can also watch that. But now let's move along and let's create the roof of the object. So we've got the gable roof here with the angle of 20 degrees, thickness of 200, and there are also overhangs of 200 millimeters in this direction, 300 in this direction. So how will we create such a roof? We will actually use the roof tool, and for that we will first create the base, the footprint of the roof. So again, we will use the rectangle tool, and now I will switch off snapping to working plane because I don't want to create the base object at the work plane at the Z height of 0. I want to actually snap to these 2 points at this height of the exterior wall. When if you remember, the height of the wall is 2800 millimeters, which is the height where the wall meets my roof, the bottom part, this part of the roof. So I will start the rectangle command as a basis of the roof, and I will snap to this point and then snap to this point, and the base object for the roof is created as a rectangle. And now to create the roof out of it, I will have the rectangle selected, and I will start the roof tool. Now you can see that the roof is created, but it's kind of weird. But the roof is parametric, so we can actually adjust the parameters to create the roof that I want. So to change the parameters, I can change them in the properties, or I can right click the roof in the project tree and choose edit, and this one opens the roof parameters. And here I've got ID1, ID0, ID1, ID2, ID3, which is always one side of the roof. So let's say if I change the let me change the run here of the ID0 to 4000 millimeters. It's actually this distance from the side 0. This side is 0, so this back side will be 1, this one will be 2, and this one will be 3. So first things first, I will change this run and the other run to the width of the garage. So it's basically this direction from here to here, the horizontal direction, and which is this. And so it's half of 6,200. So the run is 3,100 millimeters from this side, and from the ID2, which is this direction, it will be 3,100 millimeters from this side. So you can see that the roof is connected at the top and it's symmetrical. Now these two runs I want to have 0 because there shouldn't be any runs there. So I will select 0 here and 0 here. So it's moving on nicely. And now the thickness should be, and I've got it here, the thickness should be 200 millimeters. It's this perpendicular thickness. So I will change the thickness to 200 here, 200 here. I don't need to change this thickness because the run is not there at all. And what we want to do is change the slope of the roof, which we want to be 20 degrees. So let me change the angle, and I will change this angle to 20. You can see that now it's disconnected, but I will change this angle also to 20. And you can see that this height is then calculated automatically. So you've got also the height of the roof. So this is 20. So now the roof has the correct shape, but we have still got these overhangs over the wall here. So on these sides it's 200, and on the front and back it's 300 millimeters. So here, oops, yep, oh, the overhangs are already there, 100 by default, and I want to have these to be 200. So this one will be 200, and this one will be also 200. And the overhang on the front and back, this one was back, so this will be 300. Oh, that was, why is the overhang not working there? Okay, so I think the overhang does not work when the run is not there. We would have to have run there to have the overhang, which we don't want to have the run there. So actually we will have to change the footprint of the underlaying rectangle. So for these parameters, the roof is done, and now I can hit close. And if I find that I did something wrong, I can always change the roof with again going to the edit mode of the roof. So this is really nice. So to change the overhang, we will have to edit the size of the underlying rectangle. So I will make it visible. And what I will do is I will actually hide the roof and look at the top view, select the rectangle, and I will be using the draft stretch tool, because I want to stretch these 2 points to this side 300 millimeters, and these 2 points to this side 300 millimeters. So from the top view, I will select the rectangle, fire up the stretch tool, and now I'm selecting the points which I want to stretch. So I will click here and click here, and I've selected the points from the rectangle that I will be stretching. Now I'm entering the first point, so I will click anywhere here, and now I'm selecting the second point, the direction and the distance that it will be stretched. So again, I will hold the shift key to lock the direction in the X direction, and I have to make sure that the distance will be minus 300. So in this direction, I will hold shift, release the shift, and type in minus 300 millimeters, hit enter. So it was stretched 300 millimeters this way. I can actually measure the distance, so I will select this edge, with control select this edge, fire up the measure tool. I will show the delta, and it's 300 millimeters, which is correct. So again, I will select the rectangle, go to the top view, and fire up again the stretch tool, and click here, click here. Those 2 points are selected. Now I will click here. I can do the alternative method, so I can hit the X key to log the direction to the X direction, and here I'm typing in 300 because it's the positive direction in the X axis. So the rectangle is adjusted, and now if I if I show the roof, you can see that it's adjusted according to the base object, which is this rectangle. So now I can hide, I want to show the roof and hide the rectangle. And this is the roof done, and we can actually drag and drop the roof. I'll drag it onto the building, and I've got it because it's not level 1, and I've got a typo here which I will fix. So the roof is created, and now I will collapse these walls because we've got a problem of this space which is open and we want to fill it. So how do we do that? We will do that by extending the height of the wall above the roof, and then remove the roof from the wall with the arch remove tool, which is this minus. So first off, I will select the wall exterior, and I will, in the data, I will change the height to something that is higher than the highest point of the roof. So I will type in 3,000, that's not enough, so let's make it 5,000 millimeters. So that's the height, and now I will first select the roof, and then with control select the wall. The order is important, and now with the arch remove tool I will remove the roof from the wall, and this makes the roof cut the wall. So this is what we want. Now if I hide the roof, I will do the same with these two walls, these two interior walls. So let's change the height to 5,000 millimeters, and with this one too. I could actually I should have done it at once. And now I will select the roof and select the wall, hit the minus, and select the roof, select the wall, and arch remove the wall from there. So this wall is just for hanging the toilet, so that one is fine. So now I can make the roof visible. I will redraw the project, and it's moving on really nicely. So basically the garage building is finished as it should be, but now I will also show you what was in the original file and create some side elements, so the driveway and some grass around the garage. So for the driveway, I will show a different method of creating BIM objects, not out of these draft objects, but out of sketch objects. So To create a sketch, a new sketch, I will fire up this sketch tool, and it automatically directs me to the top view. And I will switch to wireframe mode, so I can see what I'm doing in the floor plan. And in the sketcher, you've got all of these options, and you can draw and constrain quite a complex sketches, but we will create just a simple rectangle as a driveway. So to create a rectangle, I will fire up the create rectangle tool inside of the sketcher. And this one, inside of the sketcher, I work completely in a different way than with the draft objects. But with this one, I will actually snap to the point 0, so if I move my mouse close enough and click, it will snap automatically. And now I've got these two windows, which the length I can type in 6000, hit enter, and the height I will type in 6200 and hit enter, and that's the width of my building. So it's the sketch is fully constrained, but usually for the BIM purposes this is not important, but because the sketch is so simple, we can close it. And I will actually again change draw style to flat lines, and this is the sketch. It's the sketch object, and if I messed it up, I can edit the sketch by selecting it, right clicking and going to edit sketch, and I'm in the sketch editor again, so it's very flexible. But now I've got this sketch and I want to create pad out of it, so I will create a pad, and this is my driveway. So this was easy. I will name it slab. I will name it driveway. And now to make the grass, I will again create separate sketch, so I will fire up the sketch tool, and I will change the draw mode to wireframe, because now I will want to make grass plane like this, but I will want to snap to existing geometry. And you can see that when I'm in the sketch, I cannot snap to anything else, unlike when I'm using the draft tools, only this first point. So I will hit escape to close the line tool, and to be able to snap to existing geometry, I will use this create external geometry, and this will basically copy external geometry inside of this sketch as a helping geometry. So I will use this one, and I will create this one, and this one, and it should also this one. I think this should be enough. Now I will hit escape, and I will start the polyline tool, and I will start here. If I move my mouse vertically enough and click, the sketcher will automatically constrain it to be vertical, and now it will constrain it to be horizontal. Now I'm sketching basically by hand, and if I click here and here, I can snap to the point and snap again to this point as the last point, and hit escape and the tool. Now I want to make this and this line the same length, so I will fire up the dimension tool and select this edge and make it 3000 millimeters, hit OK. Select this edge, make it 3000 millimeters, and then to make it symmetrical, we can we can make this one to this one, make the distance of the points be also 3000 millimeters, hit OK. So now we've got these dimensions like this. What I recommend is not leaving the original geometry there, the one that we copied with create external geometry, and actually delete that one, because if we would move with these other objects, this sketch may be influenced. So this is not what we want. And the copy geometry are these lines. So I will select it, its external edge, as you can see here, delete it, select these for all external edges and delete them. So even though now it's not constrained, I don't care about that. I care about not breaking this sketch when I would do something with the edges outside of the sketch. So now I can close this sketch and again set the view to as is, and now this sketch here, I will select it and again create pad out of it, and this is my grass. So I will name it site, let's name it grass. Okay, and I will move these two objects to, it's not part of the building, but it's part of the site, so I will move it to the site. So now this is basically what I've shown you at the beginning of this tutorial. All of these objects, we've got them, we created them. Now to make the model a little bit nicer, let's change colors of objects. So I will select the object, the roof, right click and select appearance, or its keyboard shortcut Control D. And here in the appearance, I will go to custom appearance and change the diffuse color, and I will change this one to red. And I will select this, the grass, and I will change the diffuse color to green. And I will select the wall and change the custom diffuse color to white without any tint. Close, and I will close the display properties. So now it's looking like this. So the last thing I will show you is applying proper IFC classes for the objects. So if I select the exterior wall, you can see that here in the data properties there's IFC and IFC type, which actually should be IFC class. FreeCAD automatically applies IFC class, and it can be sometimes correct, sometimes not. For instance, this wall is correct, but it's definitely not movable. It's a solid wall, and I will hide it as it's classified. Oh, I need to do what I need to do is check the window that it's IFC type window and predefined type window, which is correct with these windows. And the outer doors, the garage doors, the IFC class is door, that's okay, but the predefined type instead of door, it could be user defined, because it's not when we would change the type in the object type. So I will type in user defined, and in the object type I will type sectional door, and with this one I will do that too, because if user defined is selected, then object type should be typed in. So this is the exterior wall. Now the slab floor, if I select it, it's IFC type slab, predefined type floor, which is correct. The interior wall, again, it's IFC class wall, and it's actually, it will be standard. It's not movable, and it has got door inside, which is classified well, I think IFC door and predefined type door. So this this is another interior door, which is standard. The door inside will be classified also properly by default. This one is wall, but it's, let's name it plumbing wall because it houses plumbing, and we can hide it. And the toilet is actually not furniture and chair, but it's I think it's sanitary terminal, and it's bath, bidet, sink, shower, toilet, pan. So this is classified well, and the roof is roof, but it's not flat roof, it's a gable roof. So all these objects are classified correctly. Now with the driveway and grass in FreeCAD 1.0, the IFC classes which are offered here in this list of IFC classes, these are using IFC 4.0 schema. So there are not many infrastructure and civil objects. So actually, how I will classify the grass is by taking the IFC civil element, and also the driveway, and also this one will be IFC civil element. So this is not proper IFC classification, but at least you get the gist of how you can classify those objects, and that when they are exported as IFC, they have the proper IFC classification. So this is the end of tutorial for FreeCAD BIM beginners. We have learned how to create walls, floors, roofs, doors and windows, and also some side elements. We have also learned how to place windows and doors correctly, and how to place equipment or interior walls. I have also shown you how to apply colors and how to do the IFC classification, and I've also shown you how to structure the BIM project correctly. If you want to learn more, I would recommend you to subscribe to my channel, because I plan to create a tutorial where I will show you how to create elevation views and also the side view and place them on a page. And another tutorial that I'm planning is the tutorial on how to creating floor plans and section cuts. I think I will create this tutorial once FreeCAD 1.1 is released, because there are some nice tools which are being prepared for this release, which will make creating floor plans and sections much more streamlined. Also, I remind you that you can download this finished file and also this sheet. You can download them for free from my Ko-Fi page. If you like using FreeCAD, consider supporting the project by donating to it. The link to the donate page will be in the description box below. I hope this was helpful, and I will see you in the next one.